Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, saddle up, it's my TBR for June and June on the Range. So yes, June is the month of June on the Range, the fantastic Western-themed reading event created by the great Michael K. Vaughan. I'll leave a link to Michael's channel and all the other co-hosts in the description to the video. I'm delighted to have been asked to be a co-host again. June on the Range is a really fun event and I always enjoy diving into Westerns, which aren't something I typically read that many of, although I do read a few. So I've got a few Westerns to talk about today and then a couple of other things that I'm going to be reading during June as well. What I've tried to do again this month is get back to what I said I was going to do a while ago and limit my TBR to kind of 6 to 8 books. I'd slipped a bit for Horror Mayhem. I had a ton of stuff in my TBR for Horror Mayhem, a lot more than 8 books, but I've managed to limit myself to 8 books this month. So what that means is these are the books that are kind of locked in for the month. These are the books I'm confident I'm going to at least try and read, but I'll leave myself a bit of space to pick up other things as well. Some of those things will no doubt be Westerns, but some of them will be other things. Right, so let's talk about the non-Westerns first then. So 2 non-Westerns I'm going to be reading this month. The first of those is a book called The Watchers by an author called Jon Steele. This is a book I hadn't heard of before, but this is the pick for my patrons and channel members book club this month. So each month my patrons and channel members choose a book for us to read together. The book that won the vote this month is this book, The Watchers. Yeah, I hadn't heard of this at all, but it looks really fun. It's the first in a trilogy, and it looks like a kind of a mix of kind of espionage thriller and like dark fantasy / horror. So just a kind of entertaining, thrilling read. So it's about this guy like investigating mysterious goings on who travels around Europe by the sound of it. Yes, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's all about. As I said, I hadn't heard of it at all, but it looks like a really fun read. The other non-Western I'll be reading is Lisey's Story by Stephen King. So part of my ongoing project to read all the Stephen King books I haven't read before. This is one from what I consider my kind of lull period, if you like, in King's writing. So during the kind of late 90s, early 2000s, I just didn't really get on with anything he wrote, and this is a really great example of that. There's a bookmark in here, so a bookmark in here which is a receipt for when I bought the book. It's very, very faded, but I can just see that I bought this copy in 2007. I paid £3.99 for it, brand new, which seems ridiculously cheap nowadays. But yes, and the bookmark is at page 14, so I really didn't get very far with this at all, and then it just went on the shelves. So it's kind of unread, but a bit dappled by age. So yeah, so looking forward to seeing if I enjoy this more second time around. So in terms of Westerns then, so a few different things. So let's do a non-physical book first. So what I've got on my Kindle, that is The Chisolms by Evan Hunter. So Evan Hunter, aka Ed McBain, my favourite author, another author who I'm doing a project to read all the books I haven't already read by them, if that makes sense. I think that was a poorly constructed sentence. I'm doing a project to read all the books I haven't already read by Hunter McBain. So this is a Western he wrote, which looks quite interesting. So it's kind of a family saga type thing about this family, like kind of trekking across the West. So yeah, don't really know anything more about it than that, but it's Evan Hunter, so it's bound to be entertaining. And I like the idea of him turning his talents to a different kind of genre. You know, obviously he wrote hugely in the crime genre and was really, really good at that. So interested to see how well he does a Western. So yeah, looking forward to that. So moving on to physical things then. So there are kind of only 2 rules. Well, there's kind of 3 rules for June on the Range. There aren't kind of the normal weekly prompts and things like that. But the main rule is read a Western. Fairly straightforward. But then Michael's other 2 rules are read a book by Zane Grey and read a book by Louis L'Amour. So Zane Grey and Louis L'Amour, you know, 2 of the giants of the Western genre. Now, only the first of those rules is a hard and fast rule. So to take part in June on the Range, you have to read a Western. fairly obvious. Zane Grey and Louis Moore are recommended but not mandated, shall we say. So anyway, I've got a book by both to read. So the Zane Grey book I'm going to read is this, The Border Legion. Hopefully you can just about read the title. This is a first edition that was very kindly sent to me by Heidi, one of my viewers. So it's very, if you thought that Stephen King book was Daffled by Age, this is very, 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 very obviously aged, very obviously over 100 years old. So I will be reading this digitally, but I thought I'd show this physical copy. So yeah, I really enjoy the Zane Grey books I've read previously for June on the Range. So yes, interested to see what this is like. Looks like a fun one. And then for Louis Moore, I've got this paper, like Corgi, UK Corgi Books paperback of High Lonesome. High Lonesome, I just thought was a great title. I've got like a stack of Louis Moores, but this is the one I've picked. So yes, it looks like a fun read with a bit of romance. I think it's about a guy. Well, the blurb on the front says he threw away $60,000 in gold to fight for a girl. So yeah, it looks like an entertaining one. I will also be continuing my read through of the Edge books, which I'm doing. So the Edge series, a series of westerns written in the 70s by a British writer called Terry Harknett, who published them under the name George G. Gilman. The joke there being that it's G.G. Gilman, so GG's in the UK is like a kind of slang for horses. So this is book 22 in the series, Slaughter Road. So yeah, looking forward to diving into that. And then I've also got a more modern UK Western, or modern in terms of when it was published. I wonder when it came out, actually. I didn't check that. Let me show you how unprepared I was by opening the book to see when it was published. So it was published in 2018. So this is Vulture Wings by Dirk Hawkman. Dirk Hawkman very kindly sent me 3 of his books a little while ago. So I've got a couple of others which I may get to in June on the Range as well. But this is the one I'm going to go with. Fantastic cover, and I love I love these kind of compact hardbacks. So yeah, really looking forward to that. And then the final thing I'm going to be reading for June on the Range is not a Western. So when I did my announcement video for June on the Range, I talked about how I consider the kind of naval adventure to be like the British equivalent of the Western. So I'm going to read the first, I think it's not the first in terms of when it was published, but it's the first in terms of the characters' chronology of the Hornblower books by C.S. Forester. So this is Mr. Midshipman Hornblower. So yeah, as I said in my announcement video, my grandfather was a huge fan of C.S. Forester and the Hornblower books. So looking forward to giving one of those a try. So I've got a few of them on my Kindle, but yeah, that's the obvious one to start with because it's the first one chronologically. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what that's like, and may do a video kind of comparing it to a Western. We'll see if if there are kind of similar themes between the two books, despite them being quite different. Anyway, that is what I'm planning to read for June and June on the Range. As I said, I will no doubt get to some other things as well. I'm surrounded by wonderful, tempting books, so I'll definitely be reading some other things too. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're going to be taking part in June on the Range and what you think you'll be reading. And as always, thanks very much for watching. I hope you're safe and well out there. I hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.